Warning: this stream is rated for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Legion Cage AdoptAPet.com theater. My name is Scotty, also known as EBC. To my right is the illustrious Legion Cage himself. Since we last met, apparently Cage has like gone swimming profusely or is preparing for monsoon season. Although we did have monsoon season here in Ohio yesterday, yeah, the hats are. As always, absolutely fantastic. My hat is off to you, sir, even though I haven't actually taken my hat off. It's more like a figure of speech, just pretend like I took my hat off because otherwise I don't give a shit. And yeah, if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, I mean, you've been missing these fantastic hats the entire season, unless you actually check this out on Twitch for the live version of the podcast broadcast. And that is at twitch.tv/EBC2021. So, like, if you're actually checking us out today, you can see just how wide and colorful and plasticky his head is today, and very, very waterproof. Like, no water is going to get anywhere near him whatsoever, which is important because we're about to play a game that takes place in the water. If you have not heard, our guest today is the beautiful, the best litter. I mean, like we say this all the time, but it's true. The best hair in the game, and we're not talking about Bioshock, which is her game today. We're talking about just like on the entirety of Twitch and the interwebs and everything else. Best hair in the game. WitchWhitney, our special guest today. Thank you for joining us. How are both of you on this fine, beautiful Sunday evening?
Very warm.
Very warm, yeah.
Nice and cool in my area, so I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, you're like, ha ha, I got cool in my area. You know. See, that hat isn't gonna protect you from the heat, Cage. You what you really need is one of those hats that has like the fans built into it.
Yeah, and this hat actually makes it worse because the main cooling in the studio is a ceiling fan that's above me, so it's blocking
Oh,
the air
jeez.
that's hitting me.
Okay, just don't like drown in your own flop sweat or something, because that would be bad. So anyway, yeah, Bioshock is here. Let's head on over to this screen, which is just the introduction to Whitney's favorite game that she's going to be presenting for us today. And thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate you here on this beautiful Sunday. That is, in fact, our season finale. Can you believe we've been doing this all the way since October, and this is episode number 12, and it will be our season 1 finale. So Whitney rounding everything out with her favorite game, Bioshock, and it came out in 2007 for Xbox 360 and Windows. A year later, in 2008, for PlayStation 3. In 2009 for Macintosh, and 2012 on Live, and then for 2014 iPhone and iPad. Out of all the games that we've done, Cage, I don't believe I've seen that platform on Live. Do you know about it?
No.
Let me see here if I can get some information.
Oh, wait. I think it was one of those like stream boxes that like came out for 2 seconds and failed.
Okay.
Probably one of those stupid things that we carried at the evil video game corporation that Sean mentioned.
On Live, published and developed by 2K Games Australia, 2K Boston. Okay, that release, for whatever it is, was only in Belgium in 2012, and then in 2014, Denmark, Finland, Ireland, Norway, Sweden, so Eastern Europe there. That's interesting. I haven't heard of that platform before. Okay, anyway, that's neither here nor there, but Whitney is far and above mostly a PC player. Were you playing this on Xbox 360 or PC or PlayStation 3 or what?
All of them.
All of them?
I played on 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
What platform do you prefer to play it on now that you've done that?
PS4.
PS4, okay.
Yeah.
And is that like because of the controller, or what in your mind makes that the best platform to play it on?
I don't really know. I'm a little biased. The first time I ever played it though was on the 360.
Okay. Well, that's legitimate, Let's see if I get some.
I just like my PlayStation.
Music going in the background here. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me get this right. There we go. All right. So again, thank you for joining us. And we're looking at Bioshock, Whitney's favorite game. Cage, why don't you tell us a little bit about what was going on in history when Bioshock came out?
Will do. Okay, so it was Tuesday, August 21st, 2007. W was still the president here in the States. I kind of went back and forth about whether including this or not because it's not really like a good piece of news from that day, but um, there really wasn't much else that happened that day. Hurricane Dean, which was the first Category 5 hurricane to make landfall since Andrew in like what was Hurricane '94, hit Mexico on that day. So like if you were watching the news and all that day, you were probably hearing something about that. Like I said, it's not typically my foray to include like news in there, but other than Bioshock, this was a pretty meh day.
Well,
if you're listening to the
then I would say it's probably a good day that Bioshock was released, I think.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Hello, Kat. No one wants to hear your mouth. If you were listening to the radio, you were probably listening to Sean Kingston's Beautiful Girls, Fergie's Big Girls Don't Cry, Plain White Tees Hey There Delilah, or Rihanna's Umbrella. Completely unplanned, but it worked.
Sure, it was unplanned.
Truly. Because you can ask short and sweet. This was the hat plan for today, no matter what. So, and I just did my research like 2:30. So
30 seconds ago.
Yeah. Famous birthdays. Hayden Panettiere was celebrating her 18th birthday. Olympic gold medalist Usain Bolt was celebrating his 21st birthday. System of a Down frontman Serge Tankian was celebrating his 40th birthday, and singer Kenny Rogers would have celebrated his 69th birthday. But as always, we're here for the most important birthday, and that's Bioshock. The game came out to universal acclaim. It received a 96 out of 100 on Metacritic. It's one of the best reviewed games ever. Garnering scores 10 out of 10 from Destructoid, 10 out of 10 from EGM, 10 out of 10 from Game Informer, 9 out of 10 from GameSpot, 9.5 out of 10 from Game Trailers, 9.7 out of 10 from IGN. The game was just getting crazy reviews across the board, obviously. It sold almost 500,000 copies by the end of August, which, I was an assistant manager at the company that I used to work at that sold video games, and that was a pretty crazy time because you think about it. So the 21st of August, right? So that's only 10 days till the end, and this is a brand new IP. No one knew anything about this other than the demo that had come out prior to the launch of this, and the demo is actually what made me purchase it. I opened my store that day. My store leader came in, and he was like, dude, I just played the demo for that Bioshock game. Go home, download it, play it. You won't regret it. I promise you. I went home. I played through the demo. I immediately got back in my car, and I was actually staying at my dad's house. I was house sitting for him that day. I immediately got back in my car, went back to the store, and pre-ordered. The demo was that good. I went back home and then played it 2 times more through. So yeah, this game is fantastic, and I understand why Whitney chose this. It ended up selling over 2.2 million copies within 11 months of the launch of it. So again, it's a brand new IP. It's selling like crazy, and because it's that good. As far as awards go, it was nominated for a ton of awards, but it ended up winning a bunch of different things. Most notably, at the Spike TV Video Game Awards, it won for Best Original Score, Best Xbox 360 Game, and Game of the Year. BAFTA, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, gave it Best Game that year. I didn't even know BAFTA gave Game Awards, but apparently they do. X-Play gave it Original Soundtrack, Best Writing and Story, Best Art Direction, and Overall Game of the Year. And in November of 2012, Time Magazine apparently did a spread of the best video games of all time, and it named Bioshock as one of the best video games of all time. So definitely, crossing into some territory there. I mean, that's when you hit Time Magazine, I feel like you've hit pretty mainstream,
Yeah.
So yeah. There's a little bit about Bioshock.
Awesome. Now, from my perspective, I mean, I've obviously never played this, and I don't think that I ever will. I don't want to say never on this because even though I'm really not into just like 99% of modern games as far as playing them goes, this one, between the art style and the storyline and some of the gameplay action really did appeal to me. So I don't want to rule it out completely. I just don't know if it's like if it is something that I would attempt when I might actually get to that. It might be 10 years from now. Who knows? But yeah, it did thoroughly impress me. I loved watching Cage playing it not too long ago, and I've seen a few other streamers play it in my time. I'd like to probably do a more comprehensive watch of a more full playthrough to capture more of the full end of the storyline. And I'm definitely like I have probably mentioned previously, like with Red Dead Redemption 2, I loved watching Markiplier do his long playthrough of that, where he ended up having like, I don't know, almost 25 2-hour videos long of him literally playing through the entire game, and I loved the storyline of it. I'm pretty damn sure that I would do the exact same with Bioshock and the successive games that came after that in the Bioshock series. Simply because just from watching the opening sequence in that, the entire storyline really does appeal to me personally. So I think that's definitely on the table for me. But Whitney is an old pro at this now, so we're going to take a very short commercial break and then come back for the first part of her play of the original Bioshock. So stay tuned. We'll be right back just after these short messages. All right, so we're back now for the first part of the playthrough. Hold on a second, I got to get this right because I didn't quite get it. Hold on.
We're professionals here, folks.
Yep, I'm not on my game today. Give me a second, I gotta put it in the right place. That's the problem. It's not. It's not where it belongs. Let's put it that way. There, top left.
It's because you were adding effects to it earlier, like, reminding everyone it's Ben's birthday today.
Yeah. Oh, this does not like me today. Hold on a second. Why do you keep doing that? Let's try.
So random fun fact about it. The general consensus is that something is, at least in the video game world, retro when it's 15 years old. So after August, Whitney, you're officially a retro gamer now. There you go.
I was saying like 15 years. My goodness, yeah.
Okay.
Proud to almost officially be a part of the community.
Well, I'm gonna have to add this again. It's just being a whole butthead. There we go. Okay, let's do that. We'll put that right there. Then the other thing we're gonna turn on. Unfortunately, this time around we don't have any game sound, so I just have some nice, cool dark synth in the background. And if you don't like it, sorry, tough titty. This is my fucking podcast here right now. All right.
I mean, I'm involved. Obviously, I'd break something if I have. So.
Well, that's all right. Just like me having the tech difficulty, it wouldn't be a Twitch stream without tech difficulty. So, we just do the best we can with what we have. So, at least we got a nice, good video here, and you can instantly see some of the Art Deco design that's built into almost every aspect of the world around you in this. So Whitney, why don't you start with, because I don't think we started right at the beginning here where you've got that cutscene of the plane crash. So why don't you start by telling us some of the story from the beginning?
I mean, I feel like if you haven't played this game before, then you're not going to. So I don't feel bad super spoiling things, but yeah, you start. You're in a plane and it crashes. I don't know exactly what I should say and what I shouldn't, but anyways, you crash near a lighthouse.
Yeah, we'll do this. If you haven't played the game and you want to, spoilers, don't listen to the next section. Okay.
I feel like that's fair for every podcast we've done so far. Really,
Yeah.
That's fair. All right. Well, so you crash near a lighthouse. You're the only survivor on the plane. You literally have no idea or like memories of why you're there, what you're doing. But obviously, you know, you're gonna go to the only safe place that you see, so you swim to the lighthouse. Once you get there, there's what's called a bathysphere that takes you down into the sea. And then here we are. We are fighting what are called splicers. They are addicted to something called Adam that gives them like special powers, as you can see.
But what is this place that you've arrived at now?
That is a very good question. This is Rapture. This is the beautiful underwater city of Rapture.
Okay, and when do we start to find out more about the history of Rapture?
I mean, throughout the entire game, someone named Andrew Ryan calls you on a phone, and he starts giving you memories and pieces of information that you need to get along the way.
Okay. And can you elaborate more on like what the purpose of that? Because this is the part of the storyline that appeals to me. What was the point of Rapture? Because when you're entering Rapture, it looks like something has gone wrong, and you're there after the fact. So what is it that occurs that you know you're getting there at this point?
So there's a civil war that happens down in Rapture, and I think it's 2 years after the Civil War breaks out that you are returned. Well, you're going to Rapture, and there's the Adam that we can explain later, the Eve that everyone starts getting addicted to, and that's kind of the aftermath. A lot of people are dead or addicted to this drug, and it's just kind of a free-for-all down there.
Okay. So now that you're arriving on the scene after the Civil War has taken place, and there's still survivors, those are essentially the people that you're fighting and dealing with. In it's almost like a survival mode once you get down there. So what is then like the objective to continue advancing the game?
So Andrew Ryan, like I said, he and oh my gosh, I forget his name. Legion, help me out.
Fontaine.
Yes, thank you. They are at war to each other, and Andrew Ryan is ordering Jack to essentially try to fight each other. He's using him as a tool to fight each other. And as you progress through the game, you get more abilities that help you, like the electricity will open doors for you, ice will freeze for you, fire will melt the ice, and it helps you progress through the game as you gather those abilities.
Okay. And part of the thing that appeals to me about this storyline in particular is that it seems like Andrew Ryan is, he tried to build this utopia down in the middle of the ocean that was separate from the rest of the planet. And it was almost like Atlantis, and when he was doing all that, you come to find out that things aren't nearly as perfect as they would have hoped, and that's why you're dropped into the situation. And on a very, I've always been, attracted to like dystopian future movies and things like that, so that aspect of it really appealed to me. So what is it, like, are there any specific aspects of the storyline that more appealed to you or really stood out?
It's like the twists and turns in it. If, again, I feel bad spoiling things, but we are where we are, so I'm gonna do it. You find out actually that you're only technically like 2 years old, and you're in this man's body. You're also Andrew Ryan's like illegitimate son, who was genetically modified to grow very quickly, and they actually sent him out when the Civil War started, and then when he was fully grown, they brought him back, and he has a bunch of like trigger words and phrases that make him do certain things throughout the game. The biggest one is, it's upside down, but would you kindly, I don't know if you can see it or not, but super obviously obsessed with this game, but just that I playing it through the first time absolutely just like blew my mind. And I think it's just those little tiny pieces of evidence they're revealing to you throughout the game that just all of a sudden culminate into one big like huge moment.
Okay, so now let's switch gears a little bit, and maybe you can transition this for us from the storyline into the gameplay by telling us a little bit more about Adam and Eve, and like how that starts to mold the way you play this game and your gameplay experience.
So, I mean, a lot of it depends on how you want to play as well. You don't necessarily need to use the Eve. You can weapon it all the way, but I like to always use a mixed combination.
But what is it first?
It's hard to explain. I'm really bad at this.
That's all right.
Yeah. So it comes from dead bodies, essentially. And it gives you certain powers. And then the Eve will refill your powers. So okay. Adam comes out of the bodies from little sisters. They are guarded by what's called big daddies. And then once they gather that, then that is the Adam. And then the Eve refills the Adams.
Okay, and I did ask that more specifically because you also have as the icon for your channel points on Twitch, the little
that is Adam
syringe of Adam.
Yes.
So in watching the gameplay, I've seen, like Cage, when he's playing, you take the Adam and actually inject it into your arm as the main player, and what kind of different abilities do you get then?
Yeah, there's I don't remember exactly what all they're called, but there's an ice ability, fire ability, there's telekinesis, electric shock. There's a lot, and you can pick and choose which ones you want to upgrade, which ones work best for you, which combinations work best for you. So there's some where you can like yep. There's some hypnotize where you can control big daddies, make them your friend for a little bit.
Interesting. I wonder if this that part of it had like any effect on children looking at drugs differently after they saw this kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of depends. Like, this is effectively what they were doing down there was gene altering, which, if you've read X-Men comics, has been featured in as far as, X-Men are mutants in general that are born that way, but there are mutants that have been altered through other means or completely created. It's the same kind of thing.
Right.
Legion in for the win. Thank you for explaining better than I did.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
You explained it perfectly fine. I was equating it to just something else.
So genetic manipulation, basically.
Yeah.
It just covers all of these things that the people that were the original residents of Rapture have done to themselves in the time that they were there. So, so now about the gameplay of style. So we covered that it's basically survival at this point. What kind of mechanics are involved with that? Like, I at one point I saw, you carrying a bloody wrench that you just start beating people to death with. So what kind of weapons and other type of gameplay mechanics come into play there besides Adam and Eve?
So as far as weapons go, you start with the wrench. One of my goals in the future is to do an all wrench gameplay. I think that'd be very fun and special. But I mean, just typical guns, shotgun, machine gun. I don't remember what else, but pistol. And you collect them as you go, and you can switch between. And then there's different ammo types. Some like the fire shotguns, shells, regular shotgun shells. And I mean, ammo's not super abundant, so using that wrench is super important so you don't run out of ammo. So I typically like to try to use the wrench as much as possible in my playthroughs.
Well, and just watching, the part of the playthrough that we're seeing now, it looks very action-packed.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly moving from one action scenario to another.
And combos too, like I was saying earlier, like shock and then just go up and whack him with the wrench, and I mean, you're good. So utilizing those two together really makes a powerful combination.
And I think if I remember correctly, because it wasn't recent, but it wasn't like super, maybe it was super long ago. You actually played through this one again. I think you ended up playing through all of them on stream. And you were talking about doing that all wrench run. Right?
Yeah.
And
that's still a goal of mine.
But you said that you had seen a video or something, like the way someone built their character, like they were just ridiculously overpowered with a wrench. Am I remembering that correctly?
I don't know if it was this game or if I was referencing System Shock, which Bioshock is the successor of System Shock, essentially. But that's what inspired me to do the wrench run.
Okay, we had a couple of questions in chat, Cage.
Yeah. So Ben from the Gaming Avengers asks, "Is this the game that got you into gaming?"
Oh no, but it's got a huge piece of my soul connected to it forever. Honestly, I'd say Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill 2 were the ones that really captured me and made me, want to keep gaming forever.
Well, and if you're not familiar with WitchWhitney's channel, she does not only a lot of PC gaming, but a lot of horror, a lot of indie horror. I mean, I haven't seen it because it was before my time on Twitch, but I personally would love to see you do Silent Hill again. If you ever get the chance to do the Silent Hill series, because we were watching Isnib play it, but you're the queen of horror, so I'd like to see you do a run through of that.
Agreed, because Silent Hill is. I don't know. I've tried playing Silent Hill in the past, and I like it. Yeah, I like Resident Evil more. Maybe that's because Resident Evil is a little bit more action oriented than Silent Hill seems to be, at least for me.
That is true. Yeah.
But, Short and Sweet wants to know, how many times have you played this all the way through?
Oh my. I honestly sit down and play it at least once every year, every other year. So I'd guess 8 or 9, maybe 10.
It's definitely quite a few times, and I guess it makes sense, obviously, if it's my favorite games. And I know that you're not a huge fan of replaying most
Not
games,
at all.
So
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's really hard for me to sit down and replay a game, but Bioshock is one that I obviously can do.
Nice.
I just feel like you pick up on new stuff every single time you play that you didn't catch before.
Well, there is a ton, like, as far as collecting the diaries of all the people, and just trying to listen to the story and understand the story all at the same time. You're just looking at the environments. You look out of the windows that you just passed on the screen there, and like it's a full environment happening out there, but it's just the background.
Yeah, exactly. And I have yet to find all of the audio logs, and it's driving me crazy. So I probably won't stop playing this game until I find them all.
One of the playthroughs I did, admittedly short and sweet, was helping me. I missed one, and I got mad, and I decided that I didn't care enough to go back there.
So is that kind of like 100% completion to get all of the video logs?
Yeah.
Okay. And you haven't done that yet, even though
No.
you've been playing this for 15 years?
I get distracted.
I mean, realistically, you need to, you truly need to have something guiding you to find all of them, because you're in so many dark areas and stuff, and they're underneath rubble, they're sitting in corners, they're in toilet stalls,
So you'd essentially have to search 100% every area throughout the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't make them always super easy to find.
And how many are there to find?
I don't remember.
I can find out real quick while I ask the next question. So Ingledoom wants to know which of the 3 games, so there's Bioshock 1, Bioshock 2, and Bioshock Infinite, is your favorite.
I don't know if I can pick one. It'd probably be 1, just because it captured me so strongly the way that it did. I will say, however, I know Infinite kind of gets a bad rap compared to the series, like the other 2. But when you go back and the DLC that they have for it, just it makes it so perfect and wraps everything up. So I do love it. I love them all. But 1, we'll go with 1.
There's your answer. And yeah, I am one of those people that generally give Bioshock Infinite a bad rap. I don't like saying it like that because I've not actually played through it. I plan on remedying that at some point, but Bioshock Infinite, the change in scenery, I guess. Change in scenery, change in mechanics.
It's a hard sell at first. It really is.
Okay, so Bioshock that came out in 2007 and Bioshock 2 that came out in 2010 are pretty much the same as far as game mechanics go. And then Infinite in 2013 changed though.
And to answer the original question, audio diaries, 122 of them.
I was going to guess over 100. I just couldn't remember how many.
And how many have you personally, your highest number found in any one of the playthroughs? You remember?
It doesn't tell you how many you have, and I don't actually count. Okay. But now I'm going to. Maybe even cheat and use a walkthrough. No, I just feel so wrong. I've been doing it so long.
All right. Well, we just got a raid in our live chat from Ronathan, and thank you very much for joining us, folks. Jordo, I see you there, and anybody else that came in with Ronathan, we appreciate you joining us here today. We are doing the season finale of the RCADE Nostalgia Memories podcast for this year, and our guest is WitchWhitney, and she's presenting her favorite game, Bioshock. Now, as far as future games go, that's what I'm looking at now on Wikipedia, and it looks like that back in 2014 they were trying to create a new Bioshock, but the guy that was the head of the series director, Ken Levin, had let go of most of his staff at the studio is Irrational Games in February of 2017 and rebranded the division as Ghost Story Games within a broader umbrella of 2K Games to work on smaller narrative titles. So the rights to Bioshock still remain with 2K, but there hasn't been any further development on that until it looks like December 2019 that another title was under development, but still some years from release. So it may still be quite some time before they add something else to the series.
I was Googling some Bioshock earlier today, and I did see something pop up that say we might hear something this summer.
Okay.
So that would be exciting.
I saw something not that long ago that it was expected to announce a new entry sometime this summer because Netflix picked up the movie rights and they're going to be doing some kind of movie on Netflix.
And I didn't mention that yet, but I was thinking about that earlier, because if I'm not the type of person to play these games, I'm definitely getting a lot of enjoyment out of watching gamers play them and go through the storyline. But that to me is the coup de grace, is Netflix, and it seems like Netflix is really the only one that's really branching out into this now to take game storylines and turn them into TV series or movies. And I think I would absolutely love to see just even the Art Deco design that they utilize in this, put in that storyline into a movie. So that's fantastic. I'll be watching closely for that whenever Netflix decides to release it. And they've been doing that a lot with a lot of games. I mean, they just came out with Halo, or no, Halo was on Paramount Plus.
Paramount.
What were the ones that Netflix just came out with? Do you remember? I can't remember. There was at least two of them that I heard.
Resident Evil's one, isn't it?
Yeah, Resident Evil. They just announced that I think a week and a half ago. That's going to be a series, and the trailer for it looked excellent. And then there was another one that I heard of a couple of months ago, but it seems like Netflix and maybe some of these other studios, Paramount and maybe even someday Disney, is going to start glamping onto these game storylines and producing newer things, which that to me is fantastic. I would love to see that. I haven't seen Halo yet, even though I've had a Paramount Plus subscription the whole time, but it's on my list, definitely, and I'll probably get to it here within a couple of months. Even though I'm not even a big fan of the Halo games. I just want to see that story and movie for me, So, yeah. Bioshock in space? Maybe?
I mean, it would be the next logical step.
It honestly would, yeah.
That's like Leprechaun 4 in the hood or in space or whatever they did.
4 is in the hood. I think 5 is in space.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, this is such an original storyline, though. The creator making this place Rapture in the bottom of the sea, and then everything going horribly wrong. I mean, the trope has been there all along, but I don't think this is a very original storyline. And maybe that's the appeal of it to all the fans, is just how original it is. So, did we have any more outstanding questions at the moment, Cage?
No, sir.
Okay. So if you are with us in the live chat, and you've got some questions for Whitney, please go ahead and put them in there, and we will ask her. And if you have any other experiences too, like, we just had Doom saying that the story of Bioshock is amazing. Yeah. Tell us about your experiences too, because when we get into the second half of the playthrough, Whitney's going to be talking to us about some of the memories that she has and why this is so nostalgic for her. And this came out now 15 years ago. Oh, you just said that. It's now considered a retro game.
Pretty close, yeah.
15 years ago is a long time for a game to come out, and how many times have you gone back and played through it just to get back into the feelings of when you first played it? So go ahead.
I was gonna say, a question that I would have for you, because as I mentioned exactly how I kind of fell into Bioshock, I'm curious, like, because this was a game that was just a brand new IP, it just literally just kind of like poof, like they showed it off, and as we both know, new IPs, a lot of times people are very, very leery of them. They don't want to invest the money because it might be garbage. What what convinced you to buy it? What drew you to it when it came out?
My brother. No boom, actually. So, like, growing up, what we would do is we would go pick a game out and I would play it and he would backseat drive. And we were at Walmart one day and he's like, you have to play this game. This is the game we're getting. We're going to home and playing this now. And I just look at the cover. I'm like, this looks dumb. Like, no, I am not playing this game. But he talked me into it, and here we are.
Nice. So, like, not like you said, you were at Walmart, so you straight bought it. Like, you didn't actually even rent
No,
it.
I had knew nothing about it, nothing at all. I hadn't seen a trailer, I hadn't heard about it. I just trusted my brother's judgment, and I brought it home.
Okay. Ingle Doom wants to know who is the best boss and why is it Sander Cohen?
It is Sander Cohen. That is absolutely accurate. He is the best antagonist, in my opinion, in any game. He's beautiful and he's creepy, and I love everything about him. Doom knows.
And well, I'm looking at this. Yeah, I'm sure you mentioned this, and I just didn't remember because my memory is like a moldy sponge. Bioshock got a 96 out of 100 on Metacritic.
Mm-hmm.
That's just as high as like Red Dead Redemption we were talking about last time. Mm-hmm. I think Red Dead Redemption had a 95, and Red Dead Redemption 2 97, if I recall correctly.
I believe that's accurate, yes.
So this is right up there with that, which means you're not the only person that really loved this game. I mean, clearly, we've got some fans of it in the chat here, but they hit a home run, it seems, in this creation.
I would agree. It definitely sounds like, it's one of those games where they just kind of they knew exactly what they were doing when they were doing it. They had, as gamers, you ever pick up a game, you start playing it, you think like, oh my god, this is great, but it just kind of like filters off, if that makes sense. Like they lose their vision like partway through the game, and it doesn't hold itself. This game just holds, like, start to finish.
Cage, how would you compare this to Resident Evil Village? Because what you were just talking about was like maybe the storyline dropping off halfway through the game because the developers maybe kind of lost steam in the production process. So how would you say like Bioshock compares to Village in that regard?
Ooh. would say that Village tries to have like a super strong overall narrative, and that's where it kind of fails. It's cohesive enough, but it doesn't grip you. Like the character in Resident Evil Village, for instance, and for anyone listening, Resident Evil Village was pretty much my choice of like game of the year last year. It was a pretty slow year for games, but like I don't care about Ethan, and maybe that's because I didn't play 7, but I've watched multiple people, including Whitney, play through Resident Evil 7, and I still don't care about Ethan at all. I cared more about Chris being in the game, Chris Redfield being as part of the game just as a side character, than I cared about Ethan himself. So I think that's probably like the biggest difference or comparison I can make between these two games. They both have a lot of action. They have puzzle elements. They have their creepy elements. The worlds are, I would say Bioshock's world is still more immersive, but the world you get into in Resident Evil Village is pretty immersive. I don't know. I mean, Whitney, you also played Resident Evil Village. What would you say?
Yeah. It was a good game in itself. It wasn't. I want to go back and replay it just to see if I have more feelings about it. But to me, it was just kind of a Resident Evil game.
It didn't make you feel something for the game, the characters,
it did not.
the environment.
Okay, so what you're basically talking about there is that the narrative maybe was kind of bland, or character development was bland, so that you didn't necessarily fall in love with the character. So did that happen to you with Jack here in Bioshock? Did you fall in love with this character, Jack?
I don't know if it's so much that I fall in love with the characters here either, but the world.
Okay, so
the world I fall in love with. I fall in love with
Rapture in itself is the main character of this game.
Okay.
You want to continue following Jack because you want to know what, it's very obvious after maybe a half an hour or so that there's more going on than what you know. And when you get to the multiple twists that you get, I think that's when you care about Jack more, like at that point. But yeah, the world is the character.
Like the little sisters, the big daddies, and then when you get in Infinite, actually, that's where I cared about the characters themselves probably the most out of all 3 games with Booker and Elizabeth. They were the 2 strongest characters of this entire series, in my opinion.
Okay. All right, we've got a few questions in the chat. We're going to get to those in just a couple of minutes because we just came to the end of the first part of the playthrough, and we're going to take a short commercial break and then come back. And like I said, we're going to discuss with Whitney more the nostalgic factor and the memories surrounding the game, psychological impact, because that's always been a favorite topic of mine, and why I wanted to start the podcast in the first place, to see why is this your favorite game, what makes you tick in that regard. So we're going to take a short commercial break and be right back. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back, and I need to fix this again because I just wasn't able to do this prior to the start of the stream, and OBS was giving me a whole bunch of shit trying to get this to work, so it's much easier if I do it on the fly. There we go.
Professional podcast, folks.
Yep. Okay, so now we're into the second part of the playthrough. Before we get to those couple of outstanding questions in chat, I wanted to do one more question to you, Whitney, on in particular the differences between Bioshock 1 and Bioshock 2. So, Bioshock 2 is supposed to be taking place 8 years after Bioshock 1, and we're still dealing with the situation now in Rapture, because even though it's 8 years later and it's after the death of the two people that are causing essentially the Civil War, Ryan and Fontaine, there's still fallout from that war that we're dealing with. So talk a little bit, if you would, about the story of Bioshock 2 and elaborate more than I did, if you would, and compare the two games for us.
Goodness.
What you like, what you didn't like, and just, off the top of your head, you don't have to, stress about it or anything, just whatever comes to mind.
So in 2, you're actually playing as a Big Daddy. At the very beginning, you're protecting the little sisters, the ones that collect the atom, and you actually are forced to shoot yourself for reasons. But then you don't die, and then so like with the first game, your being like attachment, if you will, is a camera, and you're doing research to learn more about the splicers that are down there, and the more research you learn, the more damage you do to them.
Yeah.
And then with the second one, you're in a Big Daddy suit. You've got your drill instead of a camera, so that's a really cool, different aspect of the game as well there.
Okay. And how did you personally like that, playing Bioshock 2 when it came out after spending, so much time on the first one?
I mean, it's Bioshock. It literally can do no wrong.
Well, it's funny that you say that. And I'm gonna alter the question a little bit. Ronathan asked, Ronathan PXE in chat asked, if you could change one thing in any of the Bioshocks, what would it be? I'm gonna change that a little bit. I'm gonna say that you have to choose something. You can't say that it can't do no wrong. Give us one thing in any of the Bioshock games that you feel needs change.
I saw that question, and I've been thinking since, and I couldn't come up with anything, but
Well, now I'm going to force you to.
Thank you. I guess I feel like I wasn't a huge fan of the camera, at least the first time I played through the game. So that's something that old me may have removed from the game, because I feel like it was a little clunky, even though taking the photos and hey, you got this rank and now you learn this and now you can do more damage is kind of cool, but it also kind of takes away from the experience of the game, because you have to oh shoot, do I have the splicer yet? Yeah, let me see. I already do. I just wasted time, So thank you for putting me on the spot, but I came up with an answer. I'd probably remove the camera.
Okay. For anyone who has not played the game, she's referring to the specimen research camera. As you play through the game, you get a camera and you take pictures of the adversaries, and the better the picture quality, you earn more points and you get rewards for capturing them on camera. And yes, I would say that that's probably something that in a certain respect is cool, but it is a nuisance at the same time.
So in your opinion, the actual mechanic of using that camera is not where it could be. They could improve on the mechanic itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, going back through after playing it 10 times, it's no big deal. But first couple time playthroughs, it's clunky.
So Ingle Doom also has another question. Who's scarier, the Big Daddies or the Songbird from Bioshock Infinite?
I would say the Big Daddies are definitely scarier. The Songbird is just infuriating. I feel. Yeah, that's That's my answer.
Okay.
That's all the chat have.
Yeah. So now let's switch gears a little bit. I'm reading a little bit more about like Ken Levin as the director of this series and managing the company that makes it. And apparently he's been like, even before Bioshock, very interested in evaluating how choice works in video games. So one of the major themes here is the question of free will of Jack, the central character, often acting at suggestions of this unreliable narrator who is using Jack for their own ulterior motives. So how often were you like presented with a choice that either was difficult to make, or maybe after a few playthroughs it got a little bit easier because you knew what you really wanted to do with the character? Can you talk a little about that?
So the only choice you really actually get to make is whether or not to harvest or save the little sisters. When they give you, when they're the would you kindly, it's a trigger word. You actually don't have an option. You have to do what he says.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So the only choice really in the game is harvest or save, and those two options at the end can give you 3 different outcomes of the final story.
Okay. And have you played through all 3 options?
I cannot.
Oh.
Because I have too big of a heart. I literally cannot harvest a single little sister to save my life. I go in there and I start the game and I'm like, and harvest, kill, you kill them. But I go in, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. The first little sister comes up, and I'm like, nope, save. I've seen the cutscenes, but I cannot physically do it.
Pretty sure that's exactly what you did the last playthrough.
Yeah.
You even started the game saying, I'm gonna be evil this time, and I'm gonna harvest the little sisters, and
I just can't do it.
See, now that raises a very interesting psychological question, at least to me, because we've got Doom in our chat saying he could never harvest because that's always him. I remember when we were talking about Red Dead Redemption, Tinkerer saying that he could never play as a heel, at least not a full game. That's not, this technique that your embedded personality almost dictates the choices that you're going to make in the game on whether you're going to be good or bad, or make good or bad choices, and how many other video games have that kind of a choice in there, how you are to play the game. But you're telling me that you could never play that, so you're never actually going to, unless you can force yourself eventually, to see that ending of the game for yourself through your own gameplay experience. Doom could never do that himself, and probably Tinker the same way. So that tells me that your invested personality, who you really are as a good person, is affecting your gameplay in this, even though it's just a video game.
Yeah, but you're so immersed, you are Jack, and just the idea of, I can't, never.
I would add on to that, like, not necessarily the need to defend the idea of doing it one way versus the other. My personality does not particularly allow me to play that way based on the way I think. However, if there was an advantage, I would say that, I would consider playing that route because of the advantage. The game presents it to you that there is an advantage to harvesting them versus saving them.
That, yes.
But in my opinion, and I talked about this when I was doing my playthrough, it's a false advantage. You get more Adam to be able to spend at the plasmid machines, but you will not get certain rewards that the little sisters will give you as you save them. And like the first reward you get is Whitney already talked about it earlier, is one of the plasmids. It's called Hypnotize Big Daddy, and you can literally, the big hulking creatures that take you forever and a year to kill, you can hypnotize one of them and make them fight for you. You don't get that. You don't get that plasmid at all if you choose to harvest them. I think very, very late in the game you can buy the second, like the upgraded version, but I mean that's so late in the game that at that point, who cares? So there's the true advantage really is to save them anyways, beyond just the morality of it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, and maybe maybe this is more reflective of my personality, if I was to play through this, I think knowing that there's 3 different endings, I would want to do maybe 3 different playthroughs and do it each way, and maybe, yeah, I mean, I can't say for certain, having never experienced it, but I don't think I would have a problem killing off those innocent characters, because to me it's just a video game. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm, you know, fucked up psychologically or psychopath or something secretly. Who knows?
Secretly?
Secretly, yeah. Secretly. You don't know shit. You don't know jack. I think I would rather want to see each proper ending of the game regardless. And maybe I'm wrong about that, because maybe it is such an immersive experience that when the time came I couldn't do it either, but I don't know. All right, here, let's do this. Because we've got quite a few people in chat. Let's do a poll. So let's do a new poll here. So what are the three? What are the 3 options? We've got saving
All of them.
Saving all the little sisters. Let me do this. Hold on. Saving all little sisters. There we go. Killing all little sisters. Harvesting.
Yep.
And the third option is
You can't make up your mind, so you do a little bit of both.
okay. And we don't want additional votes. We'll leave that goal for 3 minutes. Okay, so we're going to start a poll here. If you're in our live chat, tell us what you would do. Like I said, let's approach that from the angle that there's those 3 options, those 3 endings to the game. Would you, when faced with that, are you going to not be able to harvest the little sisters like Doom and Whitney and probably Tinker and anybody else that has a heart unlike myself? Or would you rather see the true endings of the game as is decided by that choice? So go ahead and answer that in our live chat. Oh, we're already 4 for saving all the little sisters, boy. I'm apparently evil.
Now see, there's
of course, there's only 4 people in our chat at the time. No.
you talk about seeing the other true endings, quote unquote. But if I remember reading correctly, saving all of them is the actual canon ending.
Oh, okay. So that's the good ending.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I've
honestly, go ahead, Whitney.
As I say, whenever I know that I'm going to start a game like this, like there are choices and everything, and you have the option to be not so great, before I even like play the game for the first time, I try to tell myself, if I just play it evil the first time through, then it's done, and then I can go back and play it the way that I want to. Still can't do it, but one day will maybe succeed.
Well, there's a difference between playing a game through and being a quote unquote evil character. You know, Whitney, I know you play D&D. I know multiple people in our chat play D&D, and you can still be a really, really good person. Like, but playing an evil character is something that people can pull off. But we're talking about like murdering little girls in this game. There's playing an evil character, and then there's that, in my opinion.
That's fair.
And Scotty would still kill them all.
Yeah, I guess I am the psychopath in the room. And yeah, you know, I mean, you're both Slytherin. So what the fuck?
Just because we're Slytherin does not mean that we are inherently evil.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we're at the end of the poll. 6-0, all for saving the little sisters. So obviously, if that's the way the majority of the good people that have graced us with their presence are going to go, I can't say for a certainty what I would do. Not being a modern gamer, not being somebody that would, you know, spend a lot of time necessarily on a game like this to try to operate through the entire storyline and the mechanics and even reach that choice, let alone finish the game. I don't know.
But Scotty, you know what that means then? It means you need to start a community channel point challenge to make you play Bioshock.
Okay. I will set that up, and when it reaches, let's say, 100 million points, I will seriously consider it.
I got quite a few points. I don't think you realize how many points I got in your channel.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's the thing, because, you know, on my Twitch channel, I don't do a lot of things that are conducive to having interruptions. Like, you know, when we show public domain movie night, I can't have alerts going off in the middle of the movie and, you know, stuff like that. So most of the time, I don't have a lot of channel redemptions available for people. Although that's changing. I'm going to be taking a 3-week break here. Starting tomorrow, and I'll be back on June 6th, and I'm going to be revamping some things. There will be some new channel point redemptions that you can do no matter what's going on, you know, public domain movie night or interviews or anything else here. And when we start season 2 of the podcast in September, same thing. So we will have some new channel point redemptions and probably some new emotes and a few other things. We're gonna change the layout a little bit here from what I have been doing since last October. But yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, 200 million, 300 million channel points. That sounds about right. You know, somewhere in there. We'll see. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I feel like I would really want to like see the true endings of the game, almost like a choose your own adventure, and you're really into the the story, so you go back to choose the alternate that you didn't choose previously to see where it goes after that point. You know, the old books that we used to read in school. And I think if I'm a fan well enough of, like you said, of the entire atmosphere of the world of Rapture and the way it's presented with the Art Deco design and all that, I think I would like to see the full story played out in all the directions that are possible. But I don't know.
Maybe I will stream it and force myself to harvest.
Well, I don't want you to turn to the dark side just on my account.
No, I feel like it might be fun to share that experience with everyone.
Well, I mean, you did, like, you talk about you don't want her to turn to the dark side, but you did just lump us in as, you know, House Slytherin members that were evil anyways, so just saying.
The only saving grace of Slytherin is what's his face at the end when he dies, right?
It's not the only saving grace of Slytherin. We're gonna get off. We're gonna get off subject.
Yes, we're gonna get way off subject here.
But if I remember
Harry
correctly,
Potter.
Merlin was a Slytherin too. So
Who?
Merlin.
Merlin?
Yeah.
As in the guy from the Sword and the Stone?
Yes.
Oh, that's way too deep into that. I didn't even know that was connected. Does that also mean that the wizard from Fantasia is a Slytherin?
Yeah, probably.
Oh boy. All right, so next we're going to be discussing how Harry Potter fits into the world of Bioshock. So stay tuned now. I know we have some outstanding questions in chat. Cage, would you do the honors, please?
We actually only have one.
Oh.
But it is from the game 93. The game wants to know, is this game hard? Because they've never played it before.
I mean, I've played it so many times now. I honestly don't know what the answer is. But I mean, playing on easy, just to get the story and not have to worry about your combat too heavily. Yes, it is a very easy game. As you can see, I'm playing it on easy just for this recording, and I'm getting beat up, and I'm fine. So it's a fairly simple game as far as that goes. Now, the higher up, obviously, difficulty, ammo scarcer, you have to, deal more damage. So, and you got to get like.
What happens if you run out of health?
I mean, you die.
Well,
you come back. You come back with a little bit of health, I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay. And then you have to gain it back.
Yeah, you've got to get a healing station or a med pack to start filling those back up. You can buy them at vending machines as well.
Right.
Food, stuff like that.
Okay.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
And it's been in the playthrough a couple times, but if you drink too much alcohol in succession, your character actually does get a little tipsy. It gets blurry and you're starting wobbling around. Attention to detail.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I just pick everything up, so I'm like, oh, I just drank too much alcohol, my bad. I don't look.
Who has to clean up the mess in Rapture after all of this?
That's a good question.
I feel like that's a custodian that's really going to be paid a lot in order to make it right, because the entire place is an absolute disaster.
I don't know. I like the aesthetic. I'd be fine with it. I'd live there
okay.
still.
Very, very neutral, chaotic.
Even though it looks like it's about to collapse at any moment.
I mean, there's some better spots down here.
Yeah,
They're hard to find, but they're there.
Like the one scene where the plane crashes through the tube and all the water's flooding into the compartment there. All right, so I wanted to ask you, first of all, how soon after it came out in 2007 were you going to the video store to get this game, and you thought it looked dumb at the time, but your brother made you play it, so how long after it came out was that, do you think?
I'm gonna say it was pretty close to launch. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that it was fairly new at the time. It hadn't been out for more than a few months.
Okay, so it was definitely in the new category on the game shelves.
Yes.
Okay. And when you did start playing it, what are some of your specific memories from that first playthrough?
Well, obviously my brother backseat driving, but it was our thing, and I loved it because sometimes still even now, we do the same thing. I will play a video game. Right now we're playing Final Fantasy 15. I'm playing, he's watching, and he's trying to tell me how to do my combat and skills and everything. So that's Bioshock. We did that. and oddly enough, like sitting there eating like the wonton soup, like the ramen, that's connected to this for some reason. We would just sit there and eat that together. And then towards the end of the game too, I don't want to admit this out loud, but I'm going to. I could not beat Atlas, which is the final boss. So as I'm playing the whole game, my brother hasn't touched it this entire time. I hand him the controller and he has to beat the final boss for me. So that was pretty embarrassing.
Oh, you've beaten Atlas since then.
Was that?
You've beaten Atlas since
Oh,
then,
multiple
right?
times.
Okay.
Just that very initial time. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
I'm having problems with my mic volume here. Let me see if I can change this up a bit here. Yeah,
There's
That's
nothing
better.
wrong with admitting that you had to ask for help, or pass the proverbial controller off to someone else to do something.
The literal controller.
Like, it's the final boss of a game, so yeah, it's going to be a tough fight, no matter what. It was what it was, and yeah, I mean, Scotty already asked, you already said so. You've beaten him since then. You've
Right.
done it. You didn't do it the first time by yourself. You've done it after.
I'm actually more interested in the wonton ramen soup that you associate with that. What was it? Was it actually like Chinese takeout, or you made like top ramen or something like that?
No, it's like the top ramen, but it's wonton. It's literally the same, like in the styrofoam container. You put the hot water in there. Yeah.
Cup of noodles type deal.
Yeah, cup of noodles,
Okay.
but wonton style.
Okay, so now has that specific memory impacted any future playthroughs that you have done? Like, you start getting a hankering for cup of ramen when you do.
I want some wonton soup right now that we're talking about it, but not necessarily with Bioshock, but with other games after this. We kind of made it a habit for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Spyro, Rayman, we would sit there and we would get our wonton soup out and sit there together, eat our ramen or wonton soup and play. So yeah, it kind of became a thing.
You make it sound like it was in your gaming cabinet next to the console. We just pulled out the ramen soup to eat. It was ready to go.
Ready to go. Yep.
That's fantastic. Now, see, that's the kind of answer that I've been voraciously looking for throughout this entire series is types of memories that you specifically associate with this game, and I found a couple, with some of our guests. The fantastic thing to me is that if this is such a nostalgic game for you, I got to assume that most of the time, and for any guest that we've had, it's good memories that you've associated with this game because it's a classic in your mind and brings you a lot of joy. So
many good memories, yeah.
So what else? Like, are there any other memories that immediately spring to mind surrounding Bioshock?
Not off the top of my head. I know there's so many, and that's probably why it's so difficult to pin some down.
Is No Boom there?
No, he's upstairs.
Oh, Jesus.
I know.
Deserter.
I'll see if he probably won't, but I'll see if I can get him to come say hi.
Yeah. Well, even if he doesn't, get on stream or something, maybe he's got maybe he can text you back and, he remembers something else. Because essentially this was you two as a team. Okay, and then I remember you mentioning this in several of your streams, that this was a model that you followed for many years, regardless of the game, was him backseating and grabbing the controller when you weren't able necessarily to defeat somebody or needed more practice or whatever, and he was your kind of saving angel in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, games like this, Bioshock, Spyro, Rayman, Resident Evil. My brother's one of my best friends, and I have Bioshock in part to thank for a lot of that, um, because I have so many good memories of just playing video games in general with him, and
Mhm.
my brother and I are super close, and video games are part of that.
And he still does that for you to a degree, right? You were talking about
Oh,
like
100%.
Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 15. What else have you been playing more recently with this tag team backseating going on?
Dying Light 2, when I have time to pick that up, he'll sit there and backseat drive me. I haven't had a chance to play a whole lot lately, so I'd say Dying Light's been the most recent outside of 15 because I've never beat that and I've been going back to play it. I just Nier, the original Nier, we did that together not too long ago. While I was still working from home, he would play something until like 5 o'clock. Like, it's my turn, so we'd switch, and then yeah.
Nier Automata?
No, the original.
Oh, the original.
Yep.
Is it just called Nier, Nier?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you like that?
I love everything about Nier.
Okay.
That was actually one of the very first games I played on my PS3, but I never finished it. So after Automata, or however you say it, came out, I beat that, and I'm like, all right, it's fine to go. It's time to go back and catch the original story. So that's what we did together not too long ago.
And Cage, there's another sequel to Nier that just Automata that just came out, isn't there? Not too long ago.
I mean, honestly, Whitney would probably know that one better than I do.
It was a remake.
What the hell?
Yeah, I was just saying, I think it was a
remastered.
remake. I'm not an expert in nothing. You don't pay me enough for that.
Let's see here.
Yeah, Nier replicant version, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, it's actually just the remastered version of the original Nier. They change a couple of things in there, but it's basic same story.
Okay, so have you played that Replicant?
Replicant's what I played, yeah.
Oh, okay, so you didn't actually play the original Nier.
I did not finish the original Nier, correct.
Okay.
But it's the same story.
Okay.
You had started doing replicant on stream at one point, correct?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So what is the nostalgia factor for you now, 15 years later, going back? You said you do a playthrough of Bioshock at least once a year. Is that just the first Bioshock, or do you try to do the whole series?
I try to do the whole series. I just actually went through Infinite a couple months ago, because that one it's been out not as long as the others, obviously, but that one took some time to grow on me, so I haven't played that quite as much. So I just played through Infinite, and obviously a year ago I played the first one on stream, but I'm already sitting here talking, watching, playing last night. Like, I got an itch. I got to go back through and play them again, like, right now.
Well, and I probably started that asking you to do a playthrough for us, so. But this time you have to go and harvest all the little sisters, right?
Yes. Yep, and you're gonna see me struggle bust super hard throughout the whole thing.
There will be tears. There will be blood.
There will probably be tears. Yes.
And what in your mind is like the main draw to revisit this game every year? Like it's always going to be this thing because of.
Honestly, it's just Rapture. I feel so connected to Rapture, and again, every time you play, there are things that you hear, things that you see, and I just feel like the story is never finished. It's like when you're reading a book and it ends, you just feel so empty. I feel like when I go back to Rapture, I can open that book up and I can find more.
Like those data tapes that you got to go back and
exactly.
do 100% on. That seems like it's going to take quite some time to really go through the entire game to find every single one of them.
Well, perhaps I will add that to my I'm harvesting little sister stream.
So you're gonna do a wrench only, harvest little sister, find all the audio tapes.
That, yes.
Coming to WitchWhitney in 2022. You can expect it.
I mean,
Ready.
You were playing most of this playthrough wrench only anyway.
I was trying. Don't expect me to play it on anything but easy though. Because if I'm doing all of that, I'm gonna need to concentrate a little bit.
Right.
Now, here's the thing I'll say about that, and I was talking about this a couple days ago, actually. Like, it to me personally, unless you are specifically trying to do, the challenge of, well, I'm going to play wrench only on nightmare difficulty or whatever it is on there. No, you're just trying to get through the game by using the wrench only. It doesn't matter what difficulty you play it in, just play.
Just do okay, fair.
Yeah. And you've got enough hours on this game. You might want to consider looking at some speedrunning.
I have been thinking about that. That's never something I ever would do with any game, but maybe this one.
No.
I'm gonna say don't do it.
Well then, challenge accepted.
No,
challenge accepted.
I fully believe you can do it. I'm gonna say don't do it because I don't. My concern with when I was looking at speedrunning something was I don't want to lose my love of this game, and I can tell you after doing 3 speedrunning attempts, I was going to lose my love of that game fairly quick.
That's fair.
Plus, this game is awful long. Like you're gonna get partway through. Have to continuously go through a fairly long game because I would imagine. And I'm just gonna keep talking. I'm gonna look up the. I'll look up the record, like the world record of speedrunning on this game. I can't imagine it is that.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. If you look at almost anything on speedrun.com, the world records are insane. I mean, the people that do that, first of all, you've got to have such a brilliant mind to have the ability to see what you need to see and react so fast. And that goes for almost any game. I was like my speedrun of Castlevania 2 that is still yet to come because we had to sort out some issues. I was just going to be happy to place a time on the board, no matter what that time was, and then maybe try to beat my own personal best as Doom's been doing with his game Black Tiger. It doesn't have to be anywhere close to the world record to be an achievement just to be on the board. Did you find the cage?
No, and you can definitely do it, obviously. In fact, for PC, for glitchless run, because that's what I'm going to look at as like the determining factors, doing things glitchless. The world record with loading screens is 1 hour, 26 minutes, 37 seconds. Only 16 runs have been submitted, with the longest run being 2 hours, 6 minutes, 59 seconds. So, I mean, realistically, you could just do a run. Doesn't matter how long it is. You could submit it, and you could be on. You could be in the top 20 for Bioshock for doing.
Yeah, like 5 hours.
Hey, you're on the board.
If you had to guess, what is maybe the approximate time for any of the runs that you've done?
Oh, I take my time, so nowhere. But now I'm knowing that information. I'm kind of like, now I want to do it.
You want to know something sick? All right, so
absolutely I do.
World record time with loads for all collectibles. So finding all 122 audio diaries, 1 hour and 19 minutes.
Shut up.
He's got a couple of records that player prisoner.
Yeah. The finding all collectibles category, actually the world record is better for finding all collectibles than
I was
the
gonna say that
glitchless run.
sounds shorter than.
But that means they were using glitches. Like that's why there are the separate categories when it comes to speed running. Is that there has to be a category for glitchless run, because otherwise, like, I remember a long time ago, I know this is off topic, but watching like the world record holder at the time running Ocarina of Time, like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and they did this weird thing where they like did a bunch of backflips, like so they could skip out onto the bridge to exit Kokiri Forest before they even did the tree. They did some like weird backflipping thing, and they're underneath the map, and then they're at the battle with Ganon, like at the end of the game, and it's just like, what?
Yeah.
So,
well, and on the any percent category, beat the game by any means possible. You've got that same player, Prisoner, who's got time with loads 31 minutes and 24 seconds. And at the bottom end of that, Alex Mandy with 4 hours and 31 minutes. So, I mean, no matter how you play it, just placing yourself on the board and then maybe trying to beat your personal best. You may never be the number one player, but, just looking at speed running at that aspect of it, placing a time and then beating your personal best and then maybe doing an improvement every time. You never know.
I'm intrigued.
All right.
Just don't lose your love of the game.
And don't forget to harvest all the little sisters, because that's the important part.
Exactly. Yes.
All right, we're going to wrap up here. So our guest for our Season 1 finale of Arcade Nostalgia Memories podcast has been the beautiful WitchWhitney, who you can check out at twitch.tv/WatchWhitney, exactly like it sounds. But I'm going to spell it for you just in case you are a letter aficionado. That is WATCHWHITNEY. Of course, my co-host, the one, the only, the absolutely fantastically beautiful Legion Cage. Yeah, he's having an aneurysm over there right now. He's at twitch.tv/Legion Leg Ion Kage, spelled LEGIONKAJE, and his fantastic hats are all part and parcel of the video series. If you have not had a chance, check out our website. That is www.ebc2021.com, where we keep our schedule, where we have access to the Patreon, where for as little as $2 a month, you can get the entire EBC archive going all the way back into the actual year 2021. I do want to say here, we just had our 4th audio drama come out at the beginning of May, and if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast and you didn't get a chance to do that, not only would I suggest going to the Patreon to check that out and get access to the archive, but there is something that has been rattling around in the back of my head and in development for a full year. And we are finally bringing it to fruition on July 4th here on the EBC channel. And that is an actual broadcast that is titled Enigma Blockbuster Cinema 2021. You're just going to have to stop by to tune in and check it out. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be fun. Oh, you know what? Actually, no, it's not going to be on EBC. It's going to be on the Conflux Discord. But all that information is on the website. You can check it out, including the schedule, which starts with a short vacation for myself, because I've had a lot going on in my real life and kind of been overwhelmed, and I just needed to take a break from things. So I'm actually taking a break for 3 weeks. Once I post this to the RSS feed for the podcast, it's probably going to be, at least a couple of days from now, and We're maybe even going to be halfway through it before I actually get it posted. So we will be back, and you can just check out the schedule on the website to see what's coming up. And that's about it. So thank you, WitchWhitney, for joining us, and Cage for being my co-partner in crime, and everybody that joined us here in the live chat. I really appreciate you for stopping by and gracing us with your presence. And we will see you when we come back, at least for the podcast, when Season 2 begins in mid-September 2022. Season 2 will be beginning then. We're going to be changing the format a little bit. So it might be a little bit different than what we have been doing this season, but it definitely will be there, and we will have some really cool interviews for you to kick off Season 2. So,
wait a minute, changing the format. Am I getting fired? Are you going to fire me?
No. In fact, you're going to be the host, and I'm going to be the expert, which is going to be fun because I don't know shit about games, man.
That's fine, because I'm not an expert, so it's okay.
Well, you're the best expert I know, damn it.
Oh,
Jesus. Yeah, of course, I only know like 3 people. And yeah. You're still the expert, man. You're the go-to man who held GameStop, the entire corporation, together with your bare hands for like 20,000 years. So,
I mean, it pretty much since at least 2 very important store leader mentors left, that company's falling apart. So,
well, there you go. See, you're the man. All right. So thank you all for joining us. We'll see you later. Adios. Good night. See ya. All right. So for everybody that's still here with us on Twitch, again, thank you for joining us. We got the raid from Ronathan a while ago. Appreciate all of you for stopping in. Let's go on over to coming attractions on the EBC channel. Yes, I am taking a little bit of a breather to deal with, just relaxing for a while, because it's been kind of harried over here trying to, do the streams that I wanted to do, stick to the schedule as best as possible. And so many major in real life projects. So I definitely needed to take a break. I'm going to be gone here for 3 weeks, coming back on Monday, June 6th. I'm still going to be, in and around, stopping in on people's streams and harassing everybody. And you might even see a random poor quality Castlevania 2 stream during that time, because I just feel like it. So you never know, but we definitely will return in force on June 6th. And in the meantime, there's 2 things I want to tell you about. The first is on the Conflux Discord, and that will be, that's not a Monday, that's a Saturday. Boy, geez, I'm all over the place today. Saturday, May 21st at 10 a.m. sharp. Short and Sweet's going to be showing some classic cartoons in the Conflux Discord, so make sure you stop by for that. It's it's the cartoons we grew up with, the good ones, the ones that are very nostalgic, and none of that crap they have out there today. SpongeBob is terrible. I don't know what you guys were talking about in SpongeBob. We got to go back to the good old classic cartoons when we were growing up, and you'd sit there in your tidy whities on the living room floor on Saturday morning and just soak in all the commercials for Nerf and the Rock'em Sock'em robots and everything else like that. So that'll be Saturday, May 21st in the Conflux. And then one of our guests on the podcast a while ago was Rageful Riot OG. He's doing a 24-hour stream. It's going to be over on Trovo. So if you want to check that out, that's going to be Saturday, May 28th, trovo.live/Rageful Riot. He's going to be playing, Phasmophobia and Dead by Daylight, Back 4 Blood, some Fortnite, and a couple other things. But 24-hour stream, 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Sunday. And I did want to give him a plug because he was one of our guests, and he's a good guy and a lot of fun. Plays a lot of horror games and It's real fun to go in there with his channel redemptions, and like I redeemed one of his channel redemptions. You can't do this during the game when he was playing Dead by Daylight. And I said you can't run, and he nearly flipped out, not being able to run in Dead by Daylight. So, and then when we return, we're going to start back with our regular public domain movie night on Monday, June 6th. Rain from 1932, Joan Crawford playing a prostitute, and yeah, it's a pretty good drama. It's almost like a film noir, but it's a really solid drama for the age. And I had mentioned previously that it is a pre-code movie before Hollywood instituted standards on the content and said you can't do this or that, because it's too lewd or too too much drugs or whatever the case may be, and they didn't want to present anything that wasn't, they started censoring it basically. So it is a pre-code movie from 1932, so you might want to check that out. And then, this is the first time I'm announcing this. We don't have it locked in quite yet, but it should be exactly that. The EBC UK versus US special. I'm going to be joined by our very own Legion Cage, LL McRae, also known as Squidge, and Isnib on the afternoon of Sunday, June 12th. It's going to be 2 p.m. our time. It's going to be 7 p.m. over for them in the UK. We're going to have a nice discussion. It's probably going to be funny in more than one regard about the differences in language, entertainment, food, work life, lifestyle, and all that. So we're just going to kind of compare notes between what it's like to live in the US versus the UK. And so it'll be us four just having a nice discussion, and we'll probably be cracking jokes all during the whole time. So see if you can stop by for that. That'll be Sunday, June 12th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on EBC. And one more plug, that'll be for our new Watch Party podcast. Short and Sweet and myself will be hosting this. We're going to start with Star Trek Discovery off of, all of these are off of Paramount Plus. And we'll be showing it in the Conflicts Discord. We'll be doing about 2 episodes a week. It'll be on Thursday nights, starting at 7. And yeah, we're just going to watch the newer Star Trek series one by one and kibitz and talk a little bit about it, strengths, weaknesses. And if you have not seen any of those newer Star Trek series, this would be a great opportunity for you to do that. At least stop by and see if it's things that interest you as maybe a Star Trek fan or an outsider, and maybe, is it as bad as all the critics say, because all Star Trek that's new is terrible, and that's not real Trek. So stop on by. It'll be fun, and you'll get to see the new series if you haven't seen any of that yet. Because I do have a Paramount Plus subscription, and we'll go through everything that is new that came out in the last 5 years that they have available. And there's quite a bit. And me personally, that's why I maintain the subscription, is because I'm a big fan of Patrick Stewart, and him reprising his role as Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek Picard is just phenomenal, and I love it. And yeah, we'll have a lot of fun with that, so stop on by. All right, let's find somebody to raid, shall we? Whitney, do you have any suggestions for a raid?
Let me take a look.
Mm-hmm. Again, thank you all for joining us. This is, again, the season finale of Arcade Nostalgia Memories podcast. We're going to be taking off for the summer and be back for season 2 in September. So if you've enjoyed this series, yeah, stop on by when we restart in September, and hopefully we'll have some good entertaining interviews for you.
Actually, it looks like I've only got one person on, and that is Trouser. Trouser, schnauzer.
Trouser. You gotta say it like you got cotton in your mouth. Trouser, schnauzer.
If I can even say it. Trouser, schnauzer. Anyways.
All the trousers and the schnauzes shall be had. See, I even have to type it out and very carefully make sure that I spell it correctly here. TROUZRS SCHNAUZER. Booyah! I can spell. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you all for joining us again. I really appreciate you all. I'll see you in 3 weeks. I'll be around, so feel free to hit me up in Discord or kick me out of your stream when I start annoying the fuck out of you. Like Whitney. Whitney, were you still planning on doing at dead of night tomorrow? Or you
actually. Nope, I was gonna talk to you about that after this. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna try to do at dead of night again with me backseating. I'm not no boom. I'm not the trusted confidant in that regard, but I'll do my best to steer you right and avoid Jimmy and his fucking baseball bat and that stupid hairdo. I'm
very excited.
Yeah, if we're able to do that tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on WitchWhitney's channel. Real quick, Cage, what do you got coming up besides Mega Man?
Well, that's the vast majority of it. Tuesday,
Okay.
In theory, should be playing Pokemon with Stephanie again. And actually, here in a little while, I will be joined by Short and Sweet, Selamu, and Douglas G. Ray for Phasmophobia.
Okay, perfect. Check it out on their channels. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Bye!